Is lightweight going to be your new weight class, or do you plan on going back down to 145?
We see what happens. We see what happens. You know, in this sport, having options is always good. You know, and first things first is Justin Gaethje. But there's a fun fight down there that the man keeps talking and I keep hearing. You know, so my only advice to that guy is like, when the contract come up, sign the dotted line. Don't make no excuses.
So if you get BMF title, probably next matchup for you is new champ Ilia Topuria. And what do you think about that?
Questionable. That's it. Questionable. That guy, everybody keep asking me, what do I think of Topuria?
Yeah, fighting Topuria.
He's questionable. I'll fight him. You go ask him that question. Ask him that question about me. At the end of the day, UFC, I always wanted to fight for the title. I always want to do this. A lot of contenders, they gave me a lot of up-and-coming contenders, and then there's one that didn't come up towards my way. So you can ask UFC about that. You can ask him the question.
Damn, so Max blessed Holloway. I mean, he goes all in on the new champion Ilia Topuria. I mean, he went off on Ilia Topuria, and he had more things to say about him too. But in this recent quote of what Max Holloway said, he's basically saying that Ilia Topuria ducked him on his way to the title by calling him questionable, and saying that, oh, the UFC gave him a bunch of up-and-comers, but they didn't give him Ilia Topuria. And he's like, I wonder why they didn't give him Ilia, or give me Ilia, so you should ask Ilia what he thinks about me. As if to say, like, the champion was ducking you and only wanted easy fights on the way to the title. Look, Topuria was taking no shortcuts here. Ilia Topuria, I'm pretty sure, was down to fight Max Holloway. I think it's the UFC's fault as to why this fight didn't happen. And honestly, I think it's smart on the UFC's end that they did not make Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. That was not a fight worth making unless Volkanovski completely abandoned the featherweight division and moved up for good. Then they could have made this fight for the vacant belt, but the UFC, they knew what they were doing because they saw, okay, we cannot get rid of Max Holloway. We've tried with Calvin Kattar. We've tried with Yair Rodriguez. We've tried with Arnold Allen. All the best up-and-coming talent we had could not beat Max Holloway. And the UFC, they knew they were in a bit of a position where it's like, okay, it's Max, Volk, and everyone else. What do we do with the champion, really? Because Volk started running out of competition. Ilia was like the next best guy outside of Max. Max has already lost to the former champ Volk 3 times. The UFC wasn't making that fight again, especially with how clear that third fight was. So that's why the UFC did not give Max Holloway Ilia, because they knew there's a chance that, yeah, Max might actually beat Ilia Topuria. Then we don't see Topuria versus Volk. That's the fight the UFC wanted, because, yeah, they were worried he might not make it to that fight. Now, I do think Topuria could definitely beat Max Holloway, and he could have beaten Max on his way to the belt. That's, like, not out of the question. That could actually have happened. Like, Ilia could have had his Dricus du Plessis moment where, you know, they didn't just make Dricus cut the line to fight Izzy. They made Dricus have to fight Robert Whittaker first, and he had to prove himself by beating Robert, who keeps beating every other contender. When he couldn't beat the champ Izzy, other guys behind Whittaker couldn't beat him. But this time, it wasn't the case with Dricus du Plessis. Dricus went out there, and he beat the number 1 guy to earn a title shot, ended up fighting Sean for the belt. I do think Ilia could have definitely had a Dricus moment there, but the UFC, they were not risking that. They were not risking that. So, but I like what Max Holloway is doing here. He's talking his smack about Ilia Topuria, building a good rivalry with the champion Ilia Topuria, because Ilia Topuria, he's got smoke, he's got beef with everybody. Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, a lot of guys, man. I think the only guy that Ilia might be cordial with is Alexander Volkanovski, the former featherweight champion, who he's likely going to see again. But now Max, he's talking. He said Ilia keeps talking, and he keeps hearing. You know? What I'm hoping, though, is Max Holloway doesn't get completely railed by Justin Gaethje. Because if he gets Tony Ferguson by Justin Gaethje, then there goes the fight with Ilia Topuria, and there goes any chance he might have of beating Ilia Topuria. Because think about it, if he loses to Gaethje and catches the Justin Gaethje effect, Luckily enough, Dustin Poirier didn't. But if he gets like mauled over 5 rounds, which sadly I think he will, he won't be the same going forward, and then his chances to beat Ilia, they sink, they go down the road, they go out the window. So if he can go out there, and if let's say he can beat Justin Gaethje and finish Justin Gaethje, I think his next best option is go back down to lightweight and fight Ilia Topuria. Do it now. I mean, I know Volkanovski deserves the rematch, and that fight will likely be next. We all want Volk to take more time off. We don't want him to immediately rematch Ilia. I think Volk should just take the tune-up fight in Australia with Dan Ige. Get an easy win there. And if Max can get past Gaethje, do Holloway versus Topuria. I think that's a legacy fight for Ilia Topuria. Because, you know, he can go through now beating Volk and then Max Holloway, when both guys at one point in time were considered to be the 2 greatest featherweights of all time. So if Ilia can get a chance to fight Max now, like after just beating Volk, and let's say he beats Max, Ilya's going to be, I mean, he's already becoming a star, but he's going to become an even bigger star than he is right now if he can beat Max. I mean, beating Volk twice will do good for his legacy, but if he fights Volk next and Max beats Gaethje, I mean, I guess Max, as the BMF champion, can, like, defend against someone else. I mean, maybe Max could fight the winner of Conor Chandler, which is going to be announced soon. That would be a good fight for Max to pass the time. I think he honestly would beat the winner of Chandler Conor. I think he would beat Conor today at this point in Conor McGregor's career. But there's also a chance that after he beats Gaethje, maybe he loses to somebody else, and then he can't fight Ilia. So I think it would be just the perfect timing to go chase the Ilia fight after beating Justin, and for the UFC to make that fight happen between Ilia and Max blessed Holloway. I'm glad Max took the Gaethje fight and he's on UFC 300, but damn, imagine if he had just waited for Ilia versus Volk. Him versus Topuria could be getting booked like right now, but it is what it is. Like Max Holloway says, but man, Max is being ruthless on fight week. Like, he's going at everybody. I mean, even Islam Makhachev is going at Islam, saying, I saw Islam talk about this fight. It makes no sense, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, brother, you should have fought Justin Gaethje in February. Why did the guy you knocked out turn around so fast to fight in February when you were healthy? You should have turned around and fought in February. Low-key, I agree with Holloway. I think he's kind of spitting. But I do think that, though, he should have fought Charles Oliveira in February, or when it was rumored he would fight Charles in Toronto, it should have happened. I don't know why Makhachev has been stalling out before Ramadan, because he could have took a fight at 297, 298, 299 before Ramadan, where he couldn't fight at UFC 300, but it is what it is. I mean, the fact that he didn't take the Gaethje or Charles fight before 300 is kind of a blessing in disguise, because I feel like 300 needs all the milestone fighters like Holloway, like Gaethje, like Dubronx. So I'm honestly fine with the way things have played out, but now Max has beef with the lightweight champion, and it even garnered like a response from Islam Makhachev too. Because Islam Makhachev right here, he said, for the record, since 2021, I fought 7 times, while Holloway did 5 fights and Justin just 4. Do your homework before you talk trash about your champ. Damn, and the Max is like, never said you weren't active. I simply said you should have took the Feb fight. If you want to keep busy, don't just read headlines, champ. Dang. So, you know, if Holloway ends up beating Gaethje, he could also get that fight with Islam Makhachev in June if, say, they don't already book Dustin Poirier against Islam in June in Newark, New Jersey. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, like Max Holloway likes to say. But I don't know about Topuria being questionable, though. I mean, he's legit. He knocked out the guy that, you know, beat you all 3 times, but whatever. Max is just talking. He's trying to build a future fight, trying to add some hype. And I do like trash-talky Holloway. I do like when Holloway does talk his crap. Makes things more exciting, more interesting. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If Holloway versus Topuria does end up happening, Who do you think would win that fight? I got to do a breakdown on that matchup in a separate video. But like and subscribe, and peace out.